Welcome back to The Wealthy Path, the place where ordinary income meets extraordinary strategy. Think you need to be rich to buy a house in 2025? Think again, because today, I'm going to show you how average people are becoming homeowners. Without six-figure incomes, trust funds, or lottery wins, these are the real strategies banks won't tell you, but millionaires already know. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. To afford a house, you don't need to be rich. You don't need 20% down or a six-figure salary. The truth is, homeownership is more about strategy than income. The real barrier to buying a house isn't lack of money, it's lack of planning. So today I'm breaking down exactly how to get on the path to homeownership, no matter what your income, because everybody deserves a place they can call home. Can stick around till the end, because I'll share how you can make this entire process easier and quicker. So first things first, know what you can truly afford. You may think that earning a low hourly wage means you can't afford to buy a house, but that's not necessarily true. A better question to ask is, how much house can I afford? And there are a few ways to figure this out. First, we have the 28/36 rule. This rule states that your housing costs should be no more than 28% of your gross monthly income, meaning before taxes. So if you earn $4,000 a month, then your housing costs, including your mortgage payment, property taxes, and insurance, should be around $1,100 or less. On top of that, all your other debts like student loans or car payments should account for no more than 36% of your gross monthly income. So using the same example, if you have $1,000 in student loan payments, that would leave you with around $800 for your mortgage payment. Now, while this rule gives you a rough idea of what you could afford, it doesn't take into consideration other expenses like food, transportation, and entertainment. So it's important to also look at your monthly budget and see how much you can comfortably set aside for housing each month. Remember, just because you can qualify for a certain price range doesn't mean you should automatically spend that much. It's smart to keep your housing costs lower than what you're approved for, so you can save more money and have a comfortable living situation. Next, make sure you include everything in your calculations when figuring out how much house you can afford. Don't just look at the mortgage payment. Factor in all the additional costs, like mortgage interest, taxes, insurance, PMI, which is mortgage insurance, and HOA fees. These costs can add up quickly, and it's important to be realistic about how much you can afford. Here's an example. Let's say you find a house that you love for $350,000. You put 20% down, which is $70,000. You get a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage at 6%. Your monthly mortgage payment will be around $2,100, but that's just the principal and interest payment. Now let's add in the other costs. Property taxes are typically 1% of the home's value, so that's an additional $3,000 per year, or around $250 per month. Homeowner's insurance is usually around 0.5% of the home's value, so that's another $1,700 per year, or around $140 per month. PMI can add around $100 per month to your total cost. And if you have an HOA, that can vary depending on where you live. Let's say it's another $200 per month. Adding all these costs together, you get a total monthly payment of around $2,800. So that's something to keep in mind when figuring out your budget. Another thing to consider is the opportunity cost of buying a house. When you buy a house, a large chunk of your money is tied up in your mortgage. That means you have less money available to invest in other opportunities that could potentially make you more money. It's important to weigh the pros and cons and decide what makes the most financial sense for you. Okay, next up, let's talk about low down payment options. Putting down 20% might seem like a lot, but it's not the only option. There are several low down payment programs available that require as little as 3%. For instance, an FHA loan requires a minimum down payment of 3.5%. These loans are insured by the Federal Housing Authority, which makes them less risky for lenders and allows them to offer more flexible terms. Conventional loans can also be used with as little as a 3% down payment, but you'll likely need a higher credit score and a lower debt-to-income ratio. And if you're a veteran or a qualified rural home buyer, you may be able to get a VA or USDA loan, which require no down payment at all. In addition to these federal programs, many local governments and housing finance agencies offer grants, closing cost help, or no-interest loans to first-time homebuyers. So make sure to do your research and explore all the options available to you. Now here's a fun fact. Did you know that according to the National Association of Realtors, the average home buyer in 2022 put down 16% down? It's always smart to put down as much as you can afford, but don't feel pressured to go all the way up to 20, even putting down. 5% can be a great way to get started and build equity over time. Next, let's talk about boosting your credit score. Improving your credit score, even by a few points, can save you thousands of dollars on your mortgage. Lenders use your credit score to determine your creditworthiness and whether or not you're likely to repay the loan. A higher score means you're seen as less risky, which can lead to a lower interest rate and lower monthly payments. And here's some quick tips to improve your credit score. Pay your bills on time, reduce your debt, avoid applying for new credit, and check your credit report regularly for errors. Even increasing your credit score by 100 points can save you thousands of dollars on your mortgage, so it's definitely worth working on. And if you want more detailed advice on how to increase your credit score, I've got you covered. Check out my video on 7 tips to increase your credit score fast. All right, next, buy smart, not big. It might be tempting to look for the biggest and best house you can afford, but buying smart is often a better strategy. Let me explain. Buying a starter home means you won't have to worry about making upgrades or renovations right away, and you can focus on building your career and savings. Plus, starter homes tend to appreciate in value at the same rate as more expensive homes, so you're still investing in your future. And as your income grows, you can eventually sell your starter home and move to a larger property. So it's not a long-term commitment. Just think of it as a stepping stone towards homeownership and financial freedom. When choosing a location for your starter home, consider the future development plans for the area. Research any proposed developments or infrastructure projects that could potentially increase the value of your home in the future. Next, focus on value, appreciation, and long-term equity, rather than luxury features like a pool or a gourmet kitchen. Making smart choices now can save you money in the long run and help you build wealth over time. For instance, instead of spending all your money on a fancy backyard, consider investing that money in the stock market. With the S&P 500 returning an average of around 10% annually, that money could potentially grow to tens of thousands of dollars over time, giving you even more financial freedom to upgrade your home later on. Remember, home ownership is a long-term investment. Don't sacrifice your financial future for temporary luxuries. Instead, focus on building a solid foundation for long-term success. Now, speaking of long-term, let's talk about house hacking. This is a strategy where you buy a property that has multiple units, like a duplex or triplex, and you live in one of the units while renting out the others. This is a great way to make your mortgage more affordable, because the rental income from the other units can cover a portion or even all of your mortgage payment. So you can basically live in your home for free while building equity at the same time. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Another option is to buy a large home and rent out the extra rooms to roommates or use services like Airbnb. This can help you make extra money while also building equity in your home. By turning your home into a money-making asset, you can achieve financial freedom and never have to worry about affording your mortgage again. Okay, next, let's talk about building your down payment. Now, I know I mentioned earlier that you don't need to be rich to afford a house, but having a larger down payment can definitely make the process easier. And here's a secret. You don't need to save up for your down payment all at once. There are plenty of ways to build your down payment over time while still living your life. You could start a side hustle to boost your savings, save tax refunds or bonuses, or even freelance your skills to make some extra cash. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but cutting back on spending temporarily can really speed up the process of saving for a down payment. Just set a temporary budget for yourself and stick to it until you reach your goal. Or if you're really crunched for time, you could even move back in with your parents or family for a while and live cheaply to build up your down payment faster. It might not be the most exciting option, but hey, it's all about making sacrifices now to reap the rewards later. And finally, automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account each month, so you don't have to think about it. Okay, last but not least, timing isn't everything. I know that we all want to buy a house in a perfect market, but the truth is the real estate market is constantly fluctuating, and trying to time it just right is almost impossible. Instead of worrying about the market, focus on your own numbers. It's the amount you can afford to spend on a house in your long-term plans. If the math works for you, it's a good time to buy. Remember, even if you buy at the peak of the market, you're still building equity in your home, and that's a win-win. And buying sooner rather than later can help you start building that equity and paying off your mortgage faster. So don't wait another minute to start your journey towards home ownership. Take action today and work towards your goal of owning a home. I promise you, it'll be worth it. And remember, you don't need to be rich to afford a house. All you need is a little bit of planning and a lot of heart. Thanks for watching.